Good morning, Stephen.
Good morning, Chanel.
Good morrow. What time did you wake up this morning? I have to
This
know.
I slept in till 7 a.m.
Shut up. Get out
Get
of
out of
town.
here.
You stop it.
Stop it right now. It's the weekend. I am on a different schedule. I'm living fast and free.
Do you set an alarm for the weekends, or can you just like naturally wake up at 7?
No, I set an alarm.
Wow.
I usually wake up before it. Like this morning I woke up before 7, but I told myself stay in bed.
Stay in bed.
Stay in bed
Until 7.
until 7 and then get right up.
Wow. Oh, God. This is like an ongoing saga on the podcast, which I'm beyond thrilled to chart. I'm trying to become a morning person.
Yeah, it's almost like you're trying to live in my shoes.
Oh,
But we're
ooh,
getting ahead of
nice.
ourselves.
We're getting so ahead of ourselves. I mean, I kind of love when the theme of the movie just like makes its way into my life.
Yeah, without you even knowing it.
Yeah, and we didn't have to try for that. Just
No.
happened.
And you've been trying this for a while. So the movie's always been with you.
It has. Oh man. Okay, I won't talk. We won't talk about the movie yet. We'll keep talking about your morning. I want to be like, how did I miss this one in 2005?
Yeah, where were
Where was I?
Where were we?
Maybe in like the 7th grade. Maybe that's the
2005.
problem. Where were we?
How old were we? 14? 14, 15?
Yeah, like 13. No, like 13. 92, sweetie.
Oh, 91.
Oh, you're 91. Okay, well that makes sense.
14.
I
don't know if
Toni
this is
Collette.
I don't Yeah, I'm a Toni Collette.
They're both the same age in this, by the way.
I don't know if this is appropriate for a 14-year-old.
It's probably not.
I wouldn't show this to a 14-year-old.
If this came out tomorrow, I would be their opening night.
Yeah.
With this cast, like, oh my goodness.
All stars.
But yeah, so I've literally just been like, what was I doing in 05 where I was too busy for this one?
Yeah.
I just had a lot going on.
Okay, I only looked up one fact about this movie because when I Googled, the only thing I Googled about in her oh, we're getting ahead of ourselves again. But
In her shoes.
In her
Today's
shoes.
flick. We just have to say we can't keep
The movie.
we can't
Okay,
keep being like, we'll get to it
spoiler,
later.
surprise. The movie is In Her Shoes. It was the same movie that was on the title of the episode that you clicked on.
That you clicked on.
In Her Shoes, the only thing I Googled about it was, is In Her Shoes a real story? And
Is it true?
I don't know, but it was based on a book.
On a book.
I don't know if
Yep.
it's fiction or not, but guess what year the book came out?
Oh no. Not 90s.
No. What's our favorite year?
Oh, 2002.
Yeah, 2000.
We love 2002.
So even though the movie didn't come out in 2002, I could feel that 2002 unbridled energy coursing through the veins of Inner Shoes.
So same for me, so much so that I thought we were in New York City that whole time.
Yeah,
It was Philly.
It was Philadelphia, and
I was like, oh, New York looks good.
and they dropped.
Clean.
Yeah, they did. They only dropped a few subtle hints to let us know that they were in Philadelphia, but
It's a me problem. I take responsibility always for how I watch these movies, and I was passing out last night as I watched.
yeah.
But they're clear. It's clearly not New York. They say it.
You know what's weird about this movie is that I remember going to like Blockbuster or Hollywood Video, and I remember seeing this on the racks.
Mm-hmm. I have memories of like this branding,
And-
the
yeah.
poster.
The weird thing about the branding of this movie is that it is not what the movie is at all.
Yeah,
I thought
that's
it was a
been a
shopping. I
theme.
thought it was a shopping movie.
Yes, that's been a real theme for this podcast. I mean, the first assumption that you'd think they'd be together the whole movie.
They're not.
Probably. If you had like to wait, if there was like $1 million,
Yeah.
are they together this movie?
Yes.
And you look at the poster, you're like, mm-hmm. Friends, rivals, sisters. Nope, they are not. They're not together at all.
Yeah, I thought there was going to be a makeover,
Mm-hmm.
a shopping
excited.
spree scene.
Yeah. Yeah. I got super excited. Cameron Diaz is like, you can do my resume if I can do your makeup. And I was like, do it.
Yeah,
Get the makeup out now.
yeah.
Do it.
Play the fun music and let's parade her through.
Cover girl.
Yeah.
Give it a whirl. Like, I wanted that
Right,
song.
right. There was no scene like that.
No makeover scene.
No makeover scene.
This movie tonally is not what you think.
No.
Not even close. I wonder if that might have contributed to, maybe it didn't do so well.
It's weird because I don't know who it was marketed towards, because the people that it was marketed towards, I feel like would have been really angry when they were watching the movie because it's not
Exactly.
And then people who probably wanted to see it, which objectively is probably us, didn't want to go see it.
Wouldn't have caught it
because it looks like a low rent Devil Wears
rom-com.
Prada.
Yeah. I think that it was like billed as potentially a chick flick. I'll just say that.
Yeah, I mean, the language literally on the posters with these two women says sisters, friends, rivals.
Yeah.
It reminded
I thought it was gonna be like Bride Wars.
Bride Wars. Yeah, it felt like they were
do that.
They were gonna like tear each other's closets up, or like that show Trading Spaces on TLC where they would redo each other's closets for comedic effects.
Same era. Paige Davis had the same Cameron hair as this movie.
Yeah, Paige.
The flicked out hair.
You know what? Okay, I'm happy. I'm happy Toni Collette was in the movie, but imagine if Paige Davis was in the movie. She actually looks, and this is something I did struggle with the movie. Paige Davis actually looks like Cameron Diaz's sister.
Hey, I'm Paige Davis, and you're watching Trading Spaces. And she's like the flicked.
Yeah, in her shoes.
In her shoes. Oh my God, what is Paige Davis up to? Because I fucking loved her. She was my fave.
They rebooted.
But Trading Spaces was a problem.
Okay, so my favorite designer on Trading Spaces was, you have one guess.
I literally don't remember any of them, except I remember they would have carpenters and one was female. She was blonde.
Yeah, Amy Jo or something like that.
Yeah. But wait, I don't remember.
Okay, my favorite, of course, was Hildy Santo Tomas, the woman.
Oh, Hildy. They would just call her Hildy.
The woman who would staple straw to the walls.
That television show was unhinged.
Do you remember the one?
It was so bad.
There was one room that Hildy did where like
I'm looking up Hildy right now. Sorry if you guys hear the clicking.
Where the couple was like, "Oh, we really like we like going to the beach." So Hildy filled their room with sand.
The worst Trading Spaces designs. Click the rap.
I bet it's Hildy, and that's unfair because Hildy was just doing things that like that TLC.
She's a little out of the box.
She was. There are those like memes though that are like when you find out that Hildy is like the designer in charge of redoing your home, and like you could just see the fear on like the other people's faces when they found out Hildy was at the wheel.
Do you think that she had a deal on the show to be the unhinged one? Like, you know how like every show needs a Simon Cowell?
Yeah.
Like, was her deal like do something out of the box and artistic that has a 50-50 shot of these people like wanting to sue?
Yeah, I think
she needed to provide the entertainment, right or wrong.
Yeah, I think that is definitely like Hildy's aesthetic. Like, I think that she was just trying to have fun, and I really think that in Hildy's mind, she's like, these people are already, essentially, to use Jennifer Lopez's language in Monster Law, they're freaks to begin with for going on this show. So, like, I'm just going to give them what they deserve.
I remember having, like actual fear, like someone was going to force me on Trading Spaces. And I wasn't even a homeowner. But I remember just being, like, so afraid thinking that my neighbor would come and redo my room. I'd be like, oh, my God, they would suck at this.
It's like, it's not only would the rooms look bad, but they would make like cheap furniture, cheap
upholstery, cheap, like you said, staples. I'll never forget the straw on the wall. Wasn't there like
that was Hildy?
Yeah, like wheat on the wall.
Hildy also like did a bathroom where she like hot glued like paper flowers all over the walls.
I don't understand. Like, that's not sustainable. Like, that comes down in a month.
Yeah, it's
what
gonna
are
wilt.
You thinking?
But you know what? Trading Spaces Trading Spaces is basically a in her shoes experiment. You're living in someone else's shoes and trying to figure out what they like.
You know what? You're actually highlighting the point that when I saw this title and speaking of assumptions, I thought they were going to trade places.
I thought, okay,
I thought they were literally going to trade lives.
I thought it was going to be one of those movies, like an adult Freaky Friday. where
Yeah.
they would put on the
I
shoes
thought that.
and they would trade lives. And
I thought that. That was my assumption. We're gonna have a swappy,
like magical realism, I guess, would be the genre. But
I'll take an adult Freaky Friday like that.
Yeah.
With these two, that would be cool.
That would be so cool.
And I'm not saying the movie I got I didn't like, because I actually did really enjoy it.
It's a really good movie.
It's a really good movie, and it's deeply sobering and like very dramatic. It's a dramatic movie.
It's a dramatic movie, and I think Cameron Diaz turns in a career best performance.
Agree. It's like this and Bad Teacher for me.
Yeah, Bad Teacher is excellent.
Bad Teacher's in a league of its own, so we will put it there.
But she does more comedy work there. Here she really digs into the drama.
I know. So Cameron, we know, and like from our character study for the past 2 weeks, she kills it at comedy, especially physical comedy. She's really good at this like bubbling, blundering, like chatty broad.
Yeah.
For lack of a better term. And I haven't seen her do drama like this ever. Do you have any other examples? I can't think of them off the top of my head. I could go to IMDb maybe.
I mean, we saw her do like a 5-minute scene in Vanilla Sky being a drama actress, but this was a really this is a full-length movie. It's over 2 hours. If you're looking to
this
create
is a Lord of the Rings.
If you're looking to create a calendar event, make sure you block off over 2 hours to watch In Her Shoes.
You're gonna if you're me, you need 2 days.
Yeah. I also took a break in the middle. Halfway through, I needed a break.
Talk to me about movie breaks. Do you try not to? Or are you like, I need them?
Really don't like a movie break. But
me neither. It totally cuts like
emergency.
What do I hear?
Emergency.
Uh-oh. Pray.
Okay, I normally don't like a movie break, but with this movie, I think I put it on and I didn't check to see how long it was. And because I assumed that it would be 90 minutes.
Yeah, a tight hour and a half.
And then after about an hour, I hit the little pause button and I saw that I wasn't even halfway through. I still had 5 more minutes to go before I was going to be halfway through. And I said,
I love movies, and that is so disheartening.
I'll need a break.
When you see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a shame though, because I was really liking the movie. I just didn't know I had a whole nother hour.
What did you do? Did you go eat or something?
I took a bath.
Oh, wow. Good for you.
Thank you.
I wish I was as good at self-care as you are. You're really good at it. And you schedule it in very nicely.
Yeah, but it was a good movie. I really liked it. It just wasn't what I expected.
Yeah, so In Her Shoes, totally thought they were going to swap lives. Freaky Friday, I thought it was going to be lighthearted, rom-com. Maybe both of them would be chasing respective fellas. And I thought it'd be like a movie about siblings learning to love each other. Like, you know, like we've been on the rocks for our whole lives. Cameron's like moving back in town, and like let's put the pieces back together of like how we used to be.
Right.
Yeah, not that movie.
Not that.
Definitely not.
Maybe we can start with the little summary, and then we'll talk about whatever we can dig into.
Yeah, this is the most perfect segue I can think of for me to read the synopsis, as always provided expertly by Stephen Dawson.
Yeah.
Okay. Irresponsible party girl Maggie, played by Cameron Diaz, is kicked out of her father's and stepmother's home where she lives for free and is taken in by her hardworking sister, Philadelphia lawyer Rose, played by Toni Collette. After Maggie's disruptive ways ruin her sister's love life, Rose turns her out as well. I'm sorry, fam.
Turns out well.
Rose kicks her out.
Yeah.
But when their grandmother, Shirley MacLaine, who they never knew existed, comes into their lives, the sisters face some complicated truths about themselves and their family. Beautiful. You know what? I probably should have read it at least once before I said it on the pod.
Done a little dry run for friends and family, or even in the mirror. Just
a rehearsal. Just even it to myself in my head.
Yeah.
You know?
That's okay. Just kind of get your mouth around the words just to start.
I like to keep it real, keep it raw, and I don't like to do any extra work.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think we got the gist.
We did get the gist, but the tricky thing about this movie is that there are so many plots. Like there are main plots, subplots within the subplots, plots that last for 10 minutes, plots that last for an hour, plots that last for 2 minutes.
I feel like this one is kind of from all the ones we've covered on this podcast already, or at least the released ones. It's like this one really feels like in a league of its own. It feels the closest to like a real dramatic film, not like a fluffy star
Yeah.
vehicle in like the typical sense of the word.
You know what it reminded me of? And I think that okay. Have you ever seen that movie Babel?
I have not seen Babel, but I remember when Babel was like
Okay.
out there award season Babel
Okay,
time.
so Babel is just like all these seemingly disparate plots that are we find out in the end are connected. But in each of the little stories there are different actors and actresses. I was thinking to myself, this would have been a really interesting movie if all the different subplots were played by the character, like the same actors and actresses, but they were different characters.
Oh, so they trade in the like in each plot they're a different character but same actor.
Yeah. Like Tony and Cameron in the first thing together as one set.
I think that's a how we say a page one rewrite. I think that's just a different movie from the ground up.
It is a totally different. It's not a control F and replace. It's a different movie.
Yeah, no, this is a we throw out the old script and start anew.
When I went into this movie, I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know anything.
Which is my favorite way.
I didn't know
to go
anything
into a
about
movie.
the plot or where it was going. I didn't even know.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I knew they were sisters, but I didn't really know they were sisters. They didn't.
I know.
They don't really look alike.
They don't look like. I feel so bad for Toni Collette. Like, she always has to play ugly duckling sister. They're the same age. They were both born in 1972. Cameron and Toni Collette.
Really?
Yeah, isn't that messed up? That's so fucked up.
This movie couldn't resist a scene to have either Toni Collette or another character tell us that Toni Collette was ugly.
Like, multiple scenes.
So many scenes of people being like, "You're ugly," or her being like, "I'm ugly."
Yeah, and I mean, straight down to her wardrobe design and like her lack of makeup and just those glasses. Oh my god. Oh my god. Toni Collette cleans up well. She is beautiful.
Yeah, it's
when they care.
when they care.
to help her out. Yeah, I loved that. Okay, so yeah, they're taking pains multiple points in this movie to say she's ugly, she's fat, she's this, she's that, which I think in like less adept hands is so cheap, and we've seen it done kind of cheaply before. I would argue in 2 Weeks Notice when they're like, Sandra Bullock's an overeater. It's like, bitch, she's fine.
Yeah, she's fine.
But like in this movie, I actually really liked how it kind of was like adding to Toni Collette's insecurities as a person, as Rose. So that was like level 10 drama for me. Like, yeah, they're not being great to her, like that slideshow with the mother-in-law, or no, wow, not the mother-in-law, the stepmom. Like they're doing a slideshow, but if she wasn't so insecure in her own like being, she wouldn't have gotten as offended, I don't think.
It goes beyond just people making fun of people for being ugly. Like they're also,
and that's why I liked it.
Yeah, you're right there.
It played on their insecurities, both of them. And Cameron has her own insecurities.
Cameron has her own insecurities.
Yeah.
The sisters are very different, but the only thing they have in common
is they have the same
shoe
size. Oh.
What do the shoes represent?
Okay, actually, I really wanted to talk about this. I
don't think I understood.
It's all in sweetie, take a seat.
Yeah.
It's all in It's all in Toni Collette's like monologue kind of up at the top of the movie. So that's like a good start. She brings Cameron Diaz's character in from her like 10-year high school reunion. She's drunk, whatever. And then like the next few days they talk.
Great drunk acting. Some of the
Great
best.
drunk acting. So good. And Toni Collette's character, Rose, says, you know, the clothes, they never look good, but shoes always fit.
Yeah.
And being female myself, and I don't think men have this. I couldn't have related harder. Like, there are times when you feel like shit in your clothes. You're like, oh, this looks bad. This is hanging weird.
Yeah, but you put your Skechers on.
But you put on those Skechers without the laces, with the slip-ons, and they always fit. And shoes always look good. And it is a big thing in not only my life, but like the women in my life. Like my mom will always hit up the designer shoe warehouse at DSW.
Yeah, every day you get a celebrity discount.
Every single day. And my mom will come home with shoes. And she, like, I've heard a version of this countless times in my life where she's like, yeah, the shoes always fit. I'm always a size 7. You never go up, you never go down. And that was like profound. And then Cameron Diaz's character is more like, these are fun, these are an expression of my soul. You should give the shoes to someone who enjoys them and gets something out of them. And Toni Collette is like, I get something out of them.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool. I was so into this shoe symbol.
Got it. Okay, that's wonderful. I'm happy to hear that.
Lost on you.
Well, it wasn't. I understood the scene. I knew what those words meant, and I knew what Toni Collette was saying. I was just curious. The movie is called In Her Shoes, and I was just waiting for something more to happen with the shoes, I think is what I was getting at.
No, same. I was waiting for them to be like, this is Mom's shoe collection that we've inherited. Do you know what I mean? Like, that was like the final
Mom
piece
was
of the
a
puzzle.
cobbler. In her shoes. Oh my, yeah.
Mom made the quirkiest, funniest shoes because they're doing a lot of flashbacky acting in this. I always try to look at actors who are like recalling a story and they're like, Mom was so funny.
Yeah.
She used to nail these shoes all night long.
Yeah.
And like I'm always looking for like that kind of
like
acting.
tap
So I was
shoes
waiting.
maybe or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, we love tap shoes.
Yeah.
I love tap shoes. I was waiting for a story like that where they're like, why are you like where maybe Cameron Diaz is like, why are you holding on to all these shoes? And Rose is like, it's the only piece of her we have left. You know, something like that.
Yeah.
That's a good rewrite.
And
That's just
and when they
line.
put on Mom's shoes, they become
Mom. That gets us into a new sequence.
She has
Collette
too many
as
pairs
Mom.
of shoes.
She does have too many pairs of shoes, and
It's
the
too
only
much
thing I
for the
thought,
closet of that size.
and her fashion sense, you don't need that many. You don't have that many outfits.
No, she doesn't have enough outfits. And some of those shoes that she had, there's no way Toni Collette's character would wear those shoes.
Yeah, they're too, especially stilettos.
The florally ones with like the silk wrappings. I just didn't see her in those shoes.
I guess like the way I just reconciled it was like this is a compulsion. It's like she's not even really wearing them, but when she goes to the store and she tries one on and they fit, she's taking them home no matter what.
Yeah.
And additionally, I was like, okay, she's a lawyer, so this is not a bad hobby.
Yeah.
She can afford the shoes.
She can afford the shoes. She can afford taking months off, and
a lot of months, indefinite. She must be living off savings.
Yeah, I mean, she's also going to make money in her second career, but I don't know how much she makes.
Okay, do you want to go there, or do we want to like connect it a little? Like, she picks up Cameron from her 10-year high school reunion. Cameron's drunk. They go knock on where Cameron's residing at the current moment. Her dad and her stepmom's house. Stepmom is a bitch and is like, get out.
She is acting for the back of the room. It was a little. It didn't fit the movie, I found.
Her and Grandma's boyfriend Louis, I thought was really playing to the back of the house.
Louis? Oh, Jerry Adler.
He was a cutie. He was really cute.
I love Jerry Adler.
Yeah, he
so
is
funny.
just he's like the grandpa that I want to go hug. I love my grandpa. I want to.
Uh-oh, drama.
No, my grandpa was so funny this weekend, but I won't tell it on the pod.
Just threw his earbuds across the room.
You know how we had like torrential flooding in New York the other day?
Yeah.
I was with my grandfather, and every commercial break from the game show network, he would get up and open the door and just be like, wow.
Oh.
And it was so cute.
It's just amazing at the world.
It was phenomenal. It was great. Okay, so let's get back on. She takes Cameron Diaz back to her house, and she's like, okay, fine, stay with me a few days.
In Rittenhouse Square. So this is the first symbol or way that we know we're actually in Philadelphia, because I had no idea where we were.
Oh, yeah, wait, where were we? Say it again?
Well, the setting was so ambiguous, but she literally was
really
like,
ambiguous.
I guess I will take you back to my Rittenhouse Square apartment. And I was like, okay, we're in Philadelphia.
Missed that.
But if you didn't know that, you wouldn't really know where we were because it wasn't like a Philadelphia specific movie except for her running up and down the art museum steps with dogs. But
Exactly. No, I am like such an, you know how there's like mass holes and they're from people from Massachusetts. I don't know what we call a New Yorker. Probably just an asshole.
yeah,
But I'm just like, oh, this is New York. I think everywhere's New York.
I defaulted to New York too.
Okay, good. So I don't feel that dumb.
But then,
because I was like, oh, they're in New York, and when Cameron Diaz catches the bus, I was like, oh, that looks like Grand Central.
oh right, yeah,
I just thought it was Grand Central Terminal.
yeah.
No, it's not. So Toni Collette brings Cameron home, and then like Cameron is kind of like fucking up her life. She's really carefree and, can't get a job and is like freeloading. She's a freeloader. And there was Post-it notes. Did you notice?
Post-it notes telling her what she could and couldn't touch.
Yes, which I wonder if Cameron was like, for the movie Night and Day, she was like, I have a suggestion. And they were like, oh my God, what, Cameron? And she was like, Post-it notes.
I was in a movie called Inner Shoes. I don't know if you caught it, but there's this sexy idea that we had on set to leave Post-it notes around.
I know. I love these common themes that we're finding. It's just wonderful. So, I mean, if you're comfortable and you don't have anything to say, we can skip straight ahead. If you have nothing to say, which you better not, we could go all the way to Toni Collette becoming a dog walker. But that's
a real big jump. Here's
jump.
what we need to talk about. Is that
okay, get me there.
Is that in these scenes they are creating like a pastiche of like different ailments that Cameron Diaz has.
Oh yeah, we definitely can't make the jump. I don't know what's wrong with me.
She steals, for one.
She does.
She steals.
She's real good at it.
She's really good at stealing money.
I took notes.
She loves petty cash.
Oh, she does. She loves liquid cashola in the hands. Liquid.
She also is tasked with getting a job, and
ooh. She tries hard.
She does try hard. She gets pretty close to becoming an MTV VJ, which was really, which was a two-step process. They led us to believe an initial audition and then just reading off a teleprompter.
I know. Then the screen test was that same day. Also, do you love how it was advertised in like the penny saver? It was like, come be an MTV VJ. I was like, what?
Yeah. She goes there and she doesn't get the job because she has dyslexia and she can't read. And
so, but at that point in the movie, I didn't think that. Did you think
I'm
that?
only saying that she has dyslexia because she gets her diagnosis later
way later from a professor,
from a blind professor. So,
oh yeah.
So, but at this point, this is where I just started to feel a little bit uncomfortable because they were feeding us different things like. She has some sort of learning disability. She steals. It was all like under the general umbrella of like, she's not okay.
Yeah, of course. And a lot of actresses take roles like this. And I feel bad saying this, but I'm always putting them to the test. I'm always like, how did she pull it off?
Yeah.
And yes and no.
I will give her credit. I think she definitely conveyed the scene. And
the other thing is this is based on a book. Now, I know you looked up if this was real. I don't think it was real. It might be fiction.
Yeah, I didn't get that
far.
But
it was based on a book. Huh. I wonder if it was real. But yeah. I love when actresses go from their fluffy persona to something dark like this. I don't know if you saw Mila Kunis do that drug addict role. Did you see it?
No.
She plays like literally a heroin addict, like in a movie that just came out.
Literally.
And it's so scary because you're like, that's not her. That's Mila Kunis. Like, she's happy and fun and free, but she did a great job. And I think Cameron does like a really good job with this. I mean, I don't know how to play. She has Party Girl on lock.
She does that great. And she begins as the party girl.
She begins as a party girl, really good drunk acting. And yeah, and then they just make her have like a learning disability, which the movie was so light-handed with it. She just stutters for a teleprompter. And my mind went to, oh yeah, teleprompters are fast.
Right. I
like,
agree.
it wasn't heavy-handed.
I appreciated the subtlety of it because, like, I think I tensed up because what I was dreading is that the person at the audition was going to be like, what, do you not know how to read?
Yeah, are you an idiot?
Like, I was waiting for that. And so I was like thankful that they
were so kind.
Yeah, they just focused on her performance. The only person who makes fun of her for not being able to read is Toni Collette.
Is her sister, and that's where it hurts.
And that's where it hurts.
Brilliant.
Yeah, you're right.
That's really good because it's like, who has the worst collateral on you ever? Your sibling.
Yeah.
I think. They know exactly what button to push to really hurt you, like in a deep way. And Cameron calls her like a fat pig or something, which is so offensive.
Not nice.
And Toni Collette says that she's like an idiot.
Yeah.
Oh, she goes, Jim, Jim, you want to sound it out? Or whatever. So she like makes fun of her inability to read.
Right.
So, but at that point, it's still so light-handed. You still don't know Cameron Diaz has a learning issue.
Right. It gets heavier as you go.
It does get heavier.
It gets heavier as you go. What happens next?
Yeah. So like then we'll just skip, like, Toni Collette's character is sleeping with a partner at the firm. He's really hot.
Yeah.
And she comes home one day and finds the partner in bed with Cameron Diaz.
Not nice.
And that sparks this fight.
Right.
That's when they say those mean things to each other. Like I said, the sibling things that like really hurt.
Yeah.
She kicks Cameron Diaz out, and boom, like now we're in Act 2. Cameron has acquired those letters that she found at her dad's house when she was snooping around to steal.
Oh, right.
And I didn't understand that either. This is like, again, I watched that part last night and I was like, who are these letters? I couldn't really see who they were signed by. And she's taking money out of them.
Right. $5 for every event.
For every envelope. And they're the old-fashioned fives, you know, like the old ones. So
we knew that they were old.
Those have been sitting there a while.
Yes.
And she takes these like letters, looks at the address on them, and follows it all the way to Florida.
Right. Conveniently, well, she was going to take an Amtrak to New York, which pretty short from Philadelphia, but conveniently there was also an Amtrak running to
right down to Miami
from Philadelphia.
And it had seats. There were seats.
An overnight train to Miami.
I was going to ask you about that. I'm like, holy shit.
Now, I have shared a fantasy of mine, which is to do a sleeper car train trip.
Yeah. No,
I don't think she was paying for the sleeper car.
No, she was paying for a seat.
She was paying for a seat. To sit upright for I wonder how long the train takes to get from Philadelphia to Miami.
I was going to say,
Probably
is there a stop?
14 hours?
Is there a stopover?
20 hours?
Because, like, it's like 20, all the way to Miami from Philly, it's like 23 hours if you drove it, or like 20 hours.
20 hours probably.
So what's this, what's the train? Can it shave off a couple?
Yeah, but it can't get there in probably at least 15 hours, right?
Yeah, that's an insane train. And she just looked fresh when she came off. She looked real good. Were her belongings in a trash bag? Did I see
Yes, she
that
was
correctly?
in a trash. Her stuff was in a trash bag.
She was in a trash bag, yes. So, okay. So she shows up to Florida. There's phone books apparently underneath payphones.
Yeah.
All the payphones have phone books, which was nice.
This senior community for active seniors looked wonderful. This is my
That
speed.
looked so fun. Yeah, I loved that. So she calls Grandma. Grandma comes, picks her up. And Grandma's shocked. Also, Grandma is Shirley MacLaine.
Shirley MacLaine.
Oh my goodness, is so good.
She is really wonderful in this movie.
So good.
And this section where Cameron Diaz is in Florida, for me, was my favorite. It was really a wonderful section of the movie. I found.
It was my favorite. I didn't like checking back in Philly,
Oh,
but I really liked being in Florida.
I loved being in Florida. I hated going back to Philly and seeing Toni Collette with another guy.
Yeah, nerdy little Simon. Yeah. Okay. So this makes me so uncomfortable because I couldn't imagine doing it. But Cameron Diaz's character is kind of an asshole to her grandma. She's just like, I'm tired. Let me in your bed. And then like she goes into the guest room. She's like rude. She's like really rude.
Okay, she's not only rude, but like she just got there. She shows up basically unannounced she essentially unannounced in the sense that she hasn't seen this woman ever. And now,
so it's like, it's actually beyond unannounced.
it's a different level of unannounced.
It's like out of thin air.
And she shows up like in a sour mood and demands to take a nap.
Things.
Like undisturbed.
Yeah. And then Shirley MacLaine and her are at the door, and like she's like, I think her, as a grandmother, I'm seeing all the feels wash over her face, just like, oh my God, I can't believe this. I want to talk to you. I want to hug you, whatever. And then Cameron Diaz just shuts the door in her face, just closes the door slowly.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I know that that's her character. I cringe when people are like rude in movies. I couldn't imagine having the level of confidence to even do that.
Well, it's so. And
not people please.
What we learn is that Cameron Diaz and Toni Collette, or when they find out they have a grandmom, they then assume that the grandmom ditched them. And or I guess they always thought they had a grandmom. Like they weren't the second people to ever be on the planet. But like they assume
they thought she died. Like they thought
did?
she was just gone.
The grandma?
Yeah, she's like, because grandma asks her like, what. She asks her something. I forget the question. And then Cameron just goes, oh, I just assumed you both were dead.
Oh, okay.
Her, yeah.
Yeah.
They just didn't think she existed.
Yeah.
And Dad didn't tell them that she was still alive.
Yeah, maybe she was tired from the train ride, but she does have a bad attitude when she gets there.
She has a real bad attitude. And like for multiple days, she's just like taking.
Kind of grumpy.
Stomping around, like just doing whatever she wants. And I'm just like, okay, I'm like, maybe I'm envious. I feel like I'm jealous, like, of people who can just like live their life around someone else without feeling the need to be overly polite or overly like thankful. Because I would just be saying, "Oh my God, thank you so much, thank you so much."
If I'm
like,
a guest in your house, I'm on edge.
Yes, I'm so on edge, which is why I don't like traveling.
Yeah.
And I don't like staying in other people's houses.
No, I don't. I don't like it.
I hate it. And which is why I'm uncomfortable being like waited on in any scenario.
Yeah. I remember one time I stayed over, the only night it was a few times, but one night I stayed over your house and you put me in this bedroom that like doesn't get it, like your guest room.
Oh, you slept in the guest room?
That's what I'm saying. And I was like, I was like, I'd rather just sleep on the couch because like to sleep in like a guest bed is it.
Did you feel like a queen?
But in my mind, I'm like, now they have to wash. Well, I'm assuming they're going to wash the sheets.
Oh, now you have to wash the sheets.
In between guests.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of a home you guys keep, but.
Yeah, no, that bed is stripped as soon as you're out of it.
Exactly. And I was like.
Me too. I have a really I feel super uncomfortable about that.
Yeah. So to be a guest in essentially a stranger's home.
Yeah.
Is weird.
It's so weird. And then like. It's weird to watch because I'm cringing.
And most of those senior centers, they don't let people stay if you're under 65.
I know. Wait, I was like, how is she allowed?
Like, or not for like extended stays like that. She was there for a long time.
Yeah, she moved in.
She moved in. She starts a small business. Oh, we'll get there.
Oh, shut up.
Sorry.
Don't spoil it. God. Yeah. Her being a take kind of person, a take kind of person, was a really cool function of the screenplay though as well. So like I'm uncomfortable watching it, and it's fascinating to watch humans behave like that. Like I'm just so like in, but it also was like just written so that Toni Collette's character looked like the one who's constantly worrying, constantly on edge, the one who's constantly trying to make things nice. So I understood the opposite there, and it was cool. As Chanel loves watching it. I love I'm cringing to watch her be rude.
Right. But I think like this section is also a cool like aspect of the screenwriting is that like they become the inverse of what we're presented in the very beginning. Like Toni Collette becomes more, to the extent that she can, like fun, flirty, fabulous, and Cameron Diaz becomes more of like involved with family and like figuring out who she is and finding her place in the world. So I did like the flip that happens here.
Maybe they did swap.
Maybe they did swap.
They kind of swap.
They do kind of swap, right?
Oh my goodness.
I think it's
Yeah,
more.
me too.
I think it's.
In her shoes.
But what I like about it is that it's a little more subtle. Like it's not like Toni Collette is going to the bar and like downing 5 shots and like hooking up with strangers. All that she's doing
Yeah,
is
it's
taking a
great.
little bit of Cameron Diaz, and Cameron Diaz is taking a little bit of Toni Collette.
Yeah, a little bit of responsibility, looking for a job down
Do you
there.
think Toni Collette
Um,
was tapping into her wonderful role, another Philadelphia woman, when she was in The Sixth Sense?
Sixth Sense. I did see that like working class woman on her
Oh,
face, and the most iconic Toni Collette for me is her in the car with Haley Joel Osment, and they're like driving, and he tells her, "I see grandma" or whatever. Do you? Spoiler, spoiler alert. But in this, when Toni Collette got in the car, I
which car?
gasped. It was so quick, but she's driving at some point, and I saw her mom from The Sixth Sense. Like I just saw it
Yeah.
on her.
I think that
No, that
okay. I will say this. I bring that up, one, as sort of a joke because it's in Philadelphia, but number two is that I found there were a lot of connections between In Her Shoes, The Sixth Sense, and Hereditary for her. Like all
oh
of these movies are about like Toni Collette's relationship with like her mom, her grandmom, her family, and like loss. And I actually found that In Her Shoes fits into those two movies quite nicely. It's
yeah,
the same themes that are in The Sixth Sense and in Hereditary. And arguably it's in this movie, it's more real than it is in Hereditary and Sixth Sense. Obviously, those are science fiction or horror, so there's exaggerated things, but it's sort of
yeah,
the same
yeah.
idea, it's just on a more realistic level.
Yeah, I'm obsessed with that because it means that like actors, yeah, they're typecast and they are put in boxes, but I also like to think that like that's what Toni Collette is good at. Like she's oldest child, she's firstborn, she's
Yeah,
the one that's going to take on responsibility. She is kind of like the codependent. She's the one that's going to shelter you from grandma who like hurt her.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And she has a lot of trauma associated with that. I'm talking like Hereditary there,
right.
Sixth Sense, like same sort of deal. So I just love that these actresses kind of have like a core that they stick with. And it's because it's like who they are.
Because one of the big
Ooh,
questions that I had about this
I
movie,
love
and
this.
the only reason that I sort of went down that line of thinking, was that okay, it's 2005. Again, Cameron Diaz is a movie star. Toni Collette is an okay. Toni Collette is an actress. Let me just say that.
She's like a proper actress.
And obviously, Sixth Sense had already come out, but like she was not, and she was a star from that, but like not really. And
She had like Muriel's wedding
right, she was
too
just
in her
more
native accent and
right.
everything.
So
Yeah.
my that was sort of my question, is like, why would Toni Collette sign up for a movie like this? Because it seems like there had to be something there for her to chew on to want to do it. Because you
I
know,
think if you're asking me, if you're putting it to me,
yeah, I
I
was sort of talking through it myself, but sure, jump in.
you go ahead, jump in. I was thinking that this is a movie that kind of finally treats her like a leading lady. And like she is a leading lady in The Sixth Sense, but like I don't know, this gives her like top billing with I don't know.
No, I agree. I think it's very much.
That's
I
my
think it's very
thing.
much like a rising tide lifts all boats. She was like, "I'm gonna jump on. I'm gonna jump on with Cameron Diaz, who's a star, who's gonna lift this movie popularity wise, and I'm
Yeah,
gonna use it,
get it out to
and I'm
theaters.
gonna use my talents to lift the movie as well." Now, arguably, I think Cameron Diaz turns in a better performance than Toni Collette, but I
Oh,
think
oh,
I think that
fighting
I think that
words.
there are wonderful performances all around.
I'm trying to like look at her IMDb right now cuz like yeah, she Muriel's Wedding put her on the map. And then after that, it's like Sixth Sense. But yeah, she's just turning in like art house performances and like really dinner with friends. I don't know. I think that this kind of like shopped Toni Collette even more mainstream.
Oh, absolutely.
Even more.
I mean,
Just, like,
to be in a movie
yeah.
with Cameron Diaz in 2005,
Yeah.
I think
Does
was a
it.
get. Like
Yeah,
that,
that's a get.
You know, okay, there were two characters that I didn't like in this movie. One I hated.
Ooh. Should I guess?
Okay, you can guess who I hated.
I don't know. Did you hate Simon?
I didn't like Simon, but I didn't hate him.
I thought you would like him because he orders for the women.
Oh, I wrote down. Okay, you cannot. Okay, here was my only gripe with him identifying as an expert orderer, is that you can't say you're an expert orderer if all that you order is the most expensive item on the menu. That does not an expert orderer make. To be
He's like the foie gras.
Yeah,
I'm like, okay, bitch.
He's like, I bet you had the salmon. When I go with you, we'll get the foie gras on the steak. And I was like, dude, you can't just order the most expensive item. Like, an expert orderer is somebody who knows what to order, not just like what is the most expensive. No, the one who I hated the most was Toni Collette's friend. What was her deal?
You have a real problem with a lot of the best friends, and it's like they're not given much to do.
I just thought
she was given almost nothing.
I thought she was
do.
kind of negative. I thought
the best friend role.
It's hard
in this movie. It's so hard.
They should have hired Leah Remini to be a consultant.
Yes, please, Rosie O'Donnell,
something.
They really do normally give it to like a little comedian, so it was like. I was like, who's this woman? I don't know her.
Yeah.
But she's not given anything to do, and she's not even really a big advice giver in this. Most best friends in movies, the trope is they're an advice giver. They're like going to tell you what to do, blah, blah, blah. This woman was just like a sounding board. She was there to listen.
She just didn't offer anything. That's all.
Yeah, she was straight up there to listen. And then I loved after the shower that Toni Collette pulls a knife on her stepmother.
That was good.
Great moment. The best friend leans in and she goes, for the record, best shower I've ever been to. And I'm like, yes, that's it. That's the energy of the best friend. She's a sounding board in this. She literally is a listening face. Like, we have to cut to someone listening. And it can't be a dog.
Right. Okay, how exactly does Toni Collette become a dog walker?
Okay. All right. So
I know there's one pivotal scene where they show us, but I didn't.
This was right in the segment from when I fell asleep last night to when I had to restart this morning. Also, wait, do you want to die? I restarted it a couple minutes too late this morning, so I missed like a 3-minute gap of scenes, and I was like, oh, I didn't miss anything. I didn't miss anything crazy. I missed her sleeping with Jim.
Oh God.
Missed that entirely. Turned it right on as they're like yelling at each other, but I didn't know why. And I was like, oh, that's fine. They just had a fight. And in the whole movie, I didn't know that she slept with her boyfriend.
That's bad.
Oh, well. But, okay, so Cameron Diaz gets that job as a dog washer, and she steals a puppy to relive her childhood where they had honey bun for a day.
Right.
Which I totally missed. As Cameron Diaz takes her clothes off and is drunk that night, and she goes on the couch, and Toni Collette puts a blanket on her, I couldn't look anywhere but her body. It was fucking insane. Cameron Diaz is like, remember honey bun? And you're supposed to go, who's honey bun?
Right. I heard it, but I didn't.
It didn't register. Yeah. So she stole a dog from the dog washer, and Toni Collette, after they fight, like brings it back to the dog washer. And the woman was like, oh my God, thank you so much. Do you want a reward? And Toni Collette's Rose is like, I don't want a reward. I want you to hire me as your dog walker and tell all your clients about only me.
Right. Okay. I heard that, and I just wanted.
So
I was just hoping that there was a different explanation for how she became a dog walker.
I thought at that moment it was for Cameron's character. Like, oh, my sister needs a job.
Yeah. I was okay. Got it.
Not remembering her sister stole the dog.
Okay, this is unfortunate because I had thought that it was something else. Okay.
And then we get wonderful visuals of Toni being dragged by 3 dogs.
So many intersplicings of her being shepherded through the city with dogs.
It's so nice. Good old New York City with the dogs. She quits that law firm job, which I love, and she just starts living her life.
Right.
For her, on her terms. And, another trope of a star vehicle. Dogs. Dog walking. Minimum of 3, pulling at your chain at all times.
Dog walker is just like this classic like
it's a very temp thing.
wiping the mental slate of a job. you can really breathe as a dog walker.
Yeah, I just love that nobody's breathing down your neck. Like, where are you? What are you doing? Like, I'm out. Love it.
Yeah.
I hate dog. I don't hate dogs, but I don't want to ever be a dog walker.
It seems like a lot of responsibility.
I'm out. Like, no.
Yeah.
Okay, so we kind of like,
all over the place.
You know, we tangented. That's the thing about this movie. Like, the scenes don't really crop up in any specific order for me. They're just kind of all up in my head.
Well, it's once the ladies separate and Cameron Diaz is in Florida, there's literally no communication between the two of them. And the scenes don't inform each other either. Like, what's happening in Florida doesn't impact what's happening in Philadelphia. I mean, it will later on, but like
we're just seeing growth.
They're intersplicing them
individually.
Yeah, and how Toni Collette starts dating who she originally thought was like the loser from The Office, and
the orderer, the guy who orders,
and they get engaged very quickly.
Fast, and that ring was on a shrimp, and I did not like it. Oh my God,
that was disgusting.
I knew you were gonna hate that.
At the Jamaican jerk hut, they get
yeah, that was inappropriate.
It just
the wedding there.
It felt weird because we
only saw it once. Like, it wasn't like their place.
They only went there once, and
yeah. If it was like, oh my God, we always go to this Jamaican jerk hut. It's our place.
It was mom's place, like something like that.
Yeah, bring mom back into
Mom's
it. Like,
shoe got stuck at the Jamaican jerk restaurant.
That was so crazy. Remember
when mom got her shoe lodged in the door? But I was like, okay, maybe this was like a year when Jamaican jerk huts were like a thing. It just felt odd.
Yeah, like almost like product placement, but we know it like wasn't, you know?
Or like, okay, like it's in Philadelphia, so maybe pick like an iconic Philadelphia restaurant, like something that
a Philly cheesecake stand you guys have picked this one.
Right. Something because
it's your favorite.
Something iconic, but the Jamaican jerk hut restaurant seemed odd.
Yeah, they go there once. He takes her on multiple dates. She's kind of learning to love herself. Like, he thinks she's beautiful. Talking about Rose, Toni Collette, she kind of has a lot of trauma around her looks, being the heavier sister, being the not pretty one. Mm-hmm. Cameron Diaz looked like mom. She didn't. And they get engaged rather quickly. And that's kind of it for Philly. Like, kind of more is going down in Florida.
That's literally her arc when Cameron Diaz is away, is that she just lets herself fall in love and gets engaged.
Yes, and like it's really nice because we know she's insecure, and he's giving her what she needs. Like, he's not that stupid idiot partner who was just there to like have sex with her sister. Like, this guy is in it for the long haul. He's a real sweetie.
He's sweet. I mean, I had no problem watching it. It was just that was it.
Hers was very straightforward. It was like a line going up.
It's way more fun is happening in Florida.
Yeah, Florida is so much fun. Cameron is like brooding around in her like heels. She's like tanning by the pool. And then she tries to like rob grandma of like a couple grand.
Tries to rob grandma. I would also say that like when they would cut back to Florida, it was such a beautiful color palette. Like the home was like
blues
gorgeous pastel. Like the lighting was wonderful. Like
Philly was dark.
Yeah.
Very dark.
So I'm sure it was intentional, but it really felt like a breath of fresh whenever we would go to Florida. And
yeah, it was sweet.
And you got to like take in, because like, you know that feeling when you get off the plane in Florida and it's just like that heavy hot air.
Yes, it is fucking heavy, that air.
You could feel it, just kind of like that sedentary sitting lifestyle, which is something I want. I could see myself in one of these community centers.
Oh, I cannot. I really can't.
You don't want to be in one of them?
I don't know why I'm so like averse. Am I supposed to like come around to this when I'm like 50?
We'll see.
I just don't understand this like snowbird lifestyle. That's what people do from New York, probably from Philly too, where you're from. It's like we go to Florida.
Yeah.
for half the year. I don't know. It reminds me of slowing down in a way that I never want to.
Oh.
Like, I kind of always want to be, like, around the action.
Well, they do. They do stay around the action because
They do a lot.
There's this weird, like,
Florida.
interrogation of Sex in the City that the movie is doing, too.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you about that because I know you're a real Sex in the City head.
Yeah.
So, like, Grandma and Cameron are not really getting along.
No.
But Grandma does say if you get a job at the like local old folks home, I forget what it was called. It was like a
Whatever.
something center. She was like, I will match every penny you make, dollar, penny for penny, and you can go to New York, which is a phenomenal deal. So Cameron is like starting to work on herself, and Grandma Shirley MacLaine is like nervous that she's not connecting. So they're like, get cable, bitch, get cable. And then Cameron comes home and they're drinking Cosmos and watching Sex in the City. And I want to know, is that inappropriate?
Is it? That's
Are
your
you watching with
question?
Grandma?
Is it inappropriate?
Yeah.
I mean,
I've never seen Sex in the City.
I mean, I don't. I wouldn't. That wouldn't be my first choice to watch. With a.
What's the better question that I needed to ask you? Like, what is it about the Sex in the City scene? Like, I feel like you don't want to answer that question.
I don't want to answer that question. It's not interesting to me. What
Come up with
I'm
your
just
own.
sort of like. At first, okay, I will say this. At first, when I saw the Sex in the City on the TV and they were making Cosmos, I was like, maybe this is this just like an attempt at shoehorning in pop culture to be like, oh, this is what women watch. So I thought it was going to be like a transactional, like, let me put Sex in the City out into the universe. Cameron Diaz will receive it, and then we'll be friends. Which I think on the surface level is what happens.
Yeah, it's like the first little tick.
Yeah.
Like into her psyche.
Yeah, I was just like, I wonder if there's anything else going on, because part of Sex in the City that just what doesn't make sense in Sex in the City is that Carrie is a journalist quotes, who has her own
Air
apartment
quotes for the folks at home.
has her own apartment with like 1,000 pairs of shoes and all these expensive clothes, and like it doesn't make any sense how she affords it. And in this movie, there are shoes too, but it's a little bit more clear how Toni Collette is affording the shoes. That's less of a question. So I was just like, I wonder what like is it embracing Sex in the City? Is it knocking Sex in the City? I didn't know.
I feel like that scene was like complete surface for me because I don't know Sex in the City. It was just like, how am I going to relate to my granddaughter? Well, she definitely watches this.
Yeah.
And I thought it was such a great line reading when Cameron comes in and goes, I've seen this one. It's funny.
Yeah.
It was so good.
Yeah.
They're all sitting around drinking Cosmos, and she says something like, I didn't know, like, after dinner, I thought after dinner was going to be dessert, but instead it was lube. It was some line on Sex in the City, and they're all like, oh no. And Cameron just goes, I've seen this one. It's funny.
I've seen this one. It's funny.
It's funny. I liked it. It opened up the conversation. It got everything really going between the two of them.
Yeah.
And that's kind of when they had their first like real discussion in the kitchen about where were you? And then she like talks about how dad hid the letters and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. I guess the only other connection that I could make is that Sex in the City, probably more than In Her Shoes, has a very surface level perception that most people have of it. Like, it's a show about this. Like, it's a show about like...
Yeah.
But I think that most people that really watch and love this show are like, it's actually about XYZ. It's not really just about what you see on the surface.
Mm-hmm.
And
I can see that. It's a little bit of like a cheap joke, probably.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of a joke. Also, like a little self-referential, like with the audience of like, this movie appears to be one thing, but it's really about something else.
Oh, you took it a step farther. So if you're a Sex in the City head, you're going to think one thing about this scene. And if you don't know anything about Sex in the City, it's going to do the shorthand that it needed to do, which is just say, look, they're bonding.
Right. It works on both levels.
Both levels.
It's a plot device, but I think if you're a fan of Sex in the City, it's also like it conveys this idea that like what appears as a chick flick is there's probably more than meets the eye.
More than meets the eye. So like if you were gonna give me an assignment, it's like go and watch Sex in the City.
Go watch all the seasons of Sex in the City.
And come back with
and see if you can understand the movie.
Okay, I'll try. Folks at home, you're going to want to watch all the seasons of Sex and the City. Pause right now, go do it, come back when you're done.
Yeah,
and we will know if you skip the assignment.
Yeah, and if you, all the seasons of Sex and the City is probably the same length as this movie. So
2 hours and 8 minutes.
I did laugh when they were in the senior center and there was the woman slumped over in her chair taking a nap. And Cameron Diaz walks up to her and goes, "Hey,
oh my God,
are you dead?
Are you dead?" That part scared me so much because it is a really heavy movie. It is dramatic.
I thought she was dead.
Yes, like it wouldn't have been off tone for that woman to have died.
You know what's funny,
in the
weird
courtyard.
about that scene is that Cameron Diaz walks up to her and she does say, "Hey, are you dead?" But she doesn't respond. It just cuts to a new.
It just cuts. That was so scary. I was so scared.
So she does say, "Hey, are you dead?" And the woman comes to in a different scene, and then
we don't see her come to. We don't see her wake up. It's just cut to they're walking, and the woman is on her scooter.
Yeah, and I'm
like, oh my goodness.
And she's like, and wait, I think a scene was missing because then Cameron Diaz's next line is, whatever, Doris, like I don't know her name. She's like, "Doris, you know better. You can't go to the mall." And that was confusing. I was like, what? We weren't at the mall.
That was one of the first and only times this movie kind of treats the audience stupider than they need to, because they don't hit you on the head with Honey Bun the dog. It comes back later.
Yeah.
They don't hit you on the head with her dyslexia. That'll come back later. Like, she, as a VJ, she just can't really keep up with the prompter. But this is one of the moments where they're like, what were you doing trying to go to the mall?
To buy an outfit. You shouldn't
to get an outfit,
do that.
You crazy bitch. Also, like, were we left to assume she was trying to go to a mall on, like, just a scooter?
I think so.
Without a car.
What we needed was her to have
find her in the mall parking lot.
Right. Her to be passed out in her wheelchair at the bus stop that just says mall. Because she was just at the home that Cameron worked at. She was just, she was on one of the nature trails, like in the senior center.
Was that like a shortcut to the mall?
It was weird.
We needed a sign with an arrow that said mall this way.
It was right. It was just it was really the only scene that felt like something didn't work out. Like maybe the mics weren't on when they filmed the scene and they were just like, "Oh, we can't go back and do reshoots.
We have to scrap it."
Just have Cameron say, "Did you go to the mall?"
It was confusing. I was like, "What? Oh, okay." And then, but it bred another amazing line reading when Cameron just goes, "Give me your credit card," which I loved. It was so good. And she's like, "Huh? What? Give me your credit card." And then she takes it and gets her a really cute little suit.
She does get her. She almost does something bad and almost buys herself a pair of shoes on this woman's credit card.
Oh, that's what that was when she's like sizing up a pair of stilettos.
Yeah, those were not for the senior citizen.
I am such a weirdo. Like, I just think of everything as if I'm the character, and I'm like, oh, nice shoes.
And the salesperson, the clerk, was like, "What size, ma'am?" And she was like, "I'm actually heading to women's suits." And she walks away. Oh, yes,
I remember that now. Oh my God, I'm a big dum-dum. I'm just like, oh, she's just looking.
Yeah.
Like, no, you idiot. She was about to buy
that
them.
was like the subtle character development scene to show us that
I am so
that she's no longer
sometimes.
the grifter that she used to be.
Grifter. Dead.
But
that was so sweet. Yeah, she picks out a nice outfit.
She picks out a nice outfit for the woman
Ethel,
who we thought was dead. And she decides that she wants to parlay this into a small business of being a personal shopper for senior citizens.
Yeah, which was cute. It was really cute. And Grandma at this point has kind of started to like recognize her shortcomings as a mother to their mother who has passed.
Right.
And she says like a really sobering line where she's like, you know, what Cameron's like asking her about her mom, whatever. And she's like, I wish I shut up long enough to listen and see what she wanted from life. And then that was so cute that Cameron's like, I want to start a clothing company. And she's like, well, I think that's a great idea. I cried in this movie 3 times.
The ending was really sad. I mean, not sad, like tearful.
I wish I like wrote down when I cried, but I think that was one of the moments. I was like, oh my God, it was so sad. And then Cameron's like, I'm not really good at the numbers though. And then Shirley MacLaine's like, well, I am. I can help you. And it was so cute.
That was a cute scene. I think that the only other time that I really did get teary-eyed was so at her job in the senior center, she meets this blind professor who asks her to read poems to him. Mm-hmm. And this is where, as the audience, we put it together that she has dyslexia, and
I was like, is this the reader status? And she like can't read.
Oh my god!
I was like nervous, but I was like,
next week, guys, we're doing The Reader. No,
great film. Yeah. I was like, and then I literally had to shut myself up. I was like, nah, she didn't make it 30 whatever years without learning how to read.
Yeah, it was. I was glad that they at least introduced the language of dyslexia, because
it was sweet.
Up until that point, to like you were saying, they were sort of flirting with the idea that she couldn't read at all.
Yeah, really, truly.
And
leading us on.
And it was like one of those things where it was like, does this work with the movie? Like, does she not know how to read anything? Like, because it was very pick and choose. Like in some scenes, like she could look at the Amtrak board and read the destinations, but then in other scenes she couldn't. So it was like, where are we going with this? So it was at least it was solidified that she has dyslexia, but he's very sweet with her and gives her poems to read, and she turns out to be a real whiz. She interprets those poems really quick.
Oh yeah, that was like so sweet and also like terrifying, because I remember having to interpret shit in like AP English.
Oh my god, those are like.
She picks up real quick on that, because I remember
she does one quick reading of an Elizabeth Bishop poem and is like, got it.
Got it. I remember
Next one.
In like 10th grade English, our teacher would give us those like kind of assignments where you'd have to really break down something, a poem, a story, something. You have to really read into it. And we never had an English teacher like that, like expected so much from us. So we all failed like this one paper. We all just gave like the most surface level like analyses. And we were pissed. Like we sent our moms after this woman. We're like, Mom, she's such a bitch.
Assemble.
And then very like freedom writers of us, by the end of the semester, we were interpreting geniuses. Like we went deep. Like we understood.
Wow.
And Cameron got there in a poem.
Very quickly.
So fast.
And
I wanted to go back and read the poem.
When he gave her an A+, that was really cute.
That was so cute, because like I think I teared up there too, because she never got an A+ before.
She never got an A+.
Oh, I'm so sad.
That scene was, of course, beautiful and lovely. You know what I didn't need? I didn't need the grandson.
Oh, that was just a little quick callback. Throwaway.
Yeah.
Come on. He was like, you have to be my grandson. And then the real tear-jerking scene of the movie, the one that actually made me cry.
Oh my God.
She whips around the corner of this man's bedroom and goes, so what are we reading today? And the bed is empty. And I have chills right now.
He passed.
He passed. And a man comes in reading a chart, and you're like led to believe he works there. And then she's like, oh, you're his grandson, the doctor.
Yeah.
And you want to know what? I'm so happy. Such restraint. They could have had this man come back. They could have had him be her +1 to the wedding.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
they didn't.
Yes, exactly.
They didn't.
I think that's why I was so nervous. I was like, please don't.
I was nervous too.
Please don't go on a date with this guy.
I was like, do not introduce this doctor now at minute 120.
So long.
Yeah, such restraint. This movie is smarter than the branding would have you believe. It is smarter than even the era in which it was released.
Yeah.
It just kind of feels ahead of its time.
Much like The Sweetest Thing.
Much like The Sweetest Thing was really pushing one boundary.
Yeah.
Cameron is a boundary pusher.
She's a boundary pusher.
I mean, if we were talking about what Toni Collette does in her movies, which is like that matriarchal self-sacrifice, I will protect you at all costs, Cameron Diaz is the shorthand for party, always there for a fun time, not a long time, very
bikini shots.
bikini shots, bad teacher,
Yeah.
where she's just kind of like a badass and doesn't give a shit. She doesn't care about your feelings. And this movie does Cameron a real service too, because by the end, you see that it was just like by way of her age. Like she was 6 when their mom died.
Yeah.
So it was only natural that Toni Collette's character would like protect her and
Well, okay, it's
shelter her.
so we've seen these ideas in other movies, like in other star vehicles. It's not uncommon for there to be a deceased parent. That's very common.
It's actually almost 100% guaranteed.
But in those movies, they never talk about it. It's very much just like mom's watching, and like this movie actually
Kiss the sky.
actually is like, hey, that's not usually how it works when somebody passes away. You usually don't just go like, I've got this. Like maybe there's something else going on. So
yeah, and like I actually had this thought before we signed on where I was like kind of going in, because you're right, in all the other star vehicles the dead mom's there, but we don't talk about it. And I remember thinking, did we need the mom to have passed in this for us to understand? Like, did we need mom's like dark past as probably an abuser of some sort of substances, and just like she was depressed probably.
yeah.
And I was like, did we need that? And then I realized it really served the C story of like we had to really believe that Shirley MacLaine was like regretful and tried to be in these girls' lives, and she was like pushed out.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like where I was like, nope, we needed mom. But yeah, this movie is just in a league of its own in terms of what we've watched. It's not fluffy. This movie's real.
Yeah, it also gives them a reason to try to resolve the issues, because as the movie goes on and the women start exploring like different ways of living, other characters are like constantly throwing these digs at them, like, you're going crazy, you're acting crazy. And like this idea that like at any moment either of them could go off the deep end. And like
that was really dark. Yeah,
really
it
dark.
was there.
And like it provided like a reason to, obviously it was like coming with like really bad intent, like people were like, you're going crazy, but it provided like this urgency for a movie that's over 2 hours to change.
Yeah, I also loved that because so the back to the wedding shower that they hate their stepmom. And she is a real bitch. And they were making fun of the way she says like her daughter's name. Is her daughter's name Masha or Marsha?
Her name is Marsha, but I think she says it Masha.
They're like, my Masha. That was really funny in the diner where they're like, my Masha doesn't have a vagina.
Oh yeah.
Dead.
That was a really really good scene.
It was so sweet. Guys, watch this movie. We're not going to touch on every scene because there's a lot of really good ones. But the shower, when she pulls the knife on her stepmom who she hates, if we didn't have that like backstory of mom, you would just be like, okay, all right, calm down, walk away. But no, it's like she just pulled a knife on her stepmom. That's like her mother coming through that mental illness thing.
Right. It could have played for laughs, but it didn't.
Did not. It was really good. I loved that.
Her stepmom,
that woman was coming at her.
Her stepmom deserved it though. You can't say she had a taste for life. She had a taste for everything and then show a fat picture.
Yeah, it was fucked. And like I just really liked that. Toni Collette did a brilliant job of like internalizing those feelings, and then she walks out at the exact right moment, and pulling the knife to me was so great. It was so, not to get actor speak, it was so motivated. I was like, wow, yeah, do it.
Yeah.
Pull that knife.
It was a great moment where somebody is acting over the top, but we have a solid groundwork for why they're doing it. And a lot of times in these movies, we don't have that groundwork.
Yeah. Okay, so we should probably just go.
I think we got to reunite the girls.
We have to reunite the ladies. So the whole movie, Grandma is asking Maggie, Cameron Diaz, to like call her sister down to Miami. She's like, I want to meet her, and she just keeps not doing it. And I guess, Grandma doesn't know they had a fight, and then Grandma sends, which I would love to receive a plane ticket in the mail.
Love that.
But yeah, Grandma sends her a ticket. Says, come on down.
Right. Now, this whole time, Toni Collette has sort of no idea where Cameron Diaz is.
Wait, that was actually scary because she kept calling her phone and it's out of service and she actually just doesn't know where she went.
And I think in her mind, we're sort of led to believe in one scene that she sort of assumes that she just went back to the mom and dad or is somewhere.
Yeah, but that's early on.
Right.
Because dad's like, where's Maggie? And she's like, oh yeah, no, she is with me.
Right.
But I'm just like, wait, that was like a weekend.
That's what I'm saying. Like, she didn't really seem to care where Cameron Diaz is, like, at all.
I mean, given their mother's history, I'm like, she should believe the worst. Like, she should think her sister's probably dead somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, it's arguably like not her responsibility, but it was.
Of course not.
You sort of forget that Toni Collette doesn't know where Cameron Diaz is.
Because Florida's so flirty and fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Grandma tracks her down, sends her a ticket, and such an amazing reuniting. Toni Collette has no idea that her sister has been down there. Knocks on the door, and who answers but bikini-clad Sister Maggie.
Cameron Diaz.
Cameron Diaz.
Hey, Tone.
It was great. It was good.
She's shocked.
Shook. Comes on in, and then reunites with Grandma, and then they're like, what the hell? Kind of easy.
They get over it really quick.
Kind of easy. Good. You know, at this rate, we're pushing an hour 40.
Pushing an hour 40. Grandma has her own romance, and that seems to bring the two of them together. They sort of...
Oh, yeah. So
seeing
cute.
the grandma in love, I think, allows both the girls to drop their weapons and relax. And then we find out that... Well, I guess we already saw it, but we're reminding you now that Toni Collette's engagement is off. Because
oh my God. I love how this whole podcast we just drop that storyline completely.
He drops the engagement because she won't be like, she won't discuss something, right? Like, she won't discuss her sister, or she won't discuss her.
Yeah, like Toni Collette is being distant, and we're led to believe Simon is like a really in touch man. He actually cares.
He's emotionally available.
We can tell he's emotionally available, which is a good thing, ladies. Yeah. And he is like, I can tell there's something you're not telling me. Yeah. And they're at a party, and she starts talking to her ex, Jim. Who's like a real doucher. Yeah. And Simon spots them from across the room and is like, okay, you know, there's something you can tell him, but you can't tell me, which I'm like, how would you know? But okay. And then, so Simon calls it off. He's like, I won't marry you like this, which I liked. He had agency as well, which I only wish that if the genders were reversed, the woman who's getting like saying that would have the same agency.
Yeah. And he wasn't enabling her bad behavior because she was being inappropriate.
Yeah, she was just kind of acting out and just really feeling like she couldn't even talk to him. Yeah. Which is like her whole character's insecurity with her looks, her body, just like everything. And I thought it was so sweet that she's like, I need to protect Maggie because if I tell him what she did, he'll hate her. Yeah. Which is that Toni Collette Vein of Gold character. She's like self-sacrificing maternal woman. Like, that's her. Yeah. It's sweet. But so they're like, you're engaged in Florida. But then she's like, nope. Kind of not really.
Not anymore. So Cameron Diaz decides, with the help of the other senior citizens, that they're going to lure him down there by telling him that she's pregnant.
Yeah, that was, damn. I would think he'd be madder about that. But he also got over it kind of easy.
He gets over it kind of quickly, but when they introduce this idea, they all brush it off and say, nah, we're not going to do that. And then he shows up and he's like, and then he's like, are you pregnant?
Wait, the real peanut gallery of old people down in Florida were a dream, like a complete dream team. Like, there's Grandma's wisecracking best friend who fell asleep and we thought died. There's when Cameron's like giving the tour of the grounds.
They run the place.
She's like, yeah, she goes, these are the widows. They run the place. And then they're like all sizing up Cameron. Yeah. There's like the bench, the lawyers, yeah. the male lawyers. It's so cute. But the peanut gallery, like I'm calling the old women when they're like, how do we get Simon down here? And they're all sounding off. And one old lady goes, you could say she's pregnant, which is just so funny.
But it works.
It works. So he comes and it all spills out. And like you know, he meets her sister, which is apparently really important to her.
Yeah.
They're each other's person. And this was such a confusing thing. They just all leave Florida.
Very confusing.
Is it a time jump?
Like, what's her name? Toni Collette is talking to the guy at this event. And then the next scene is, I think, the scene where Shirley MacLaine pulls up in a cab to the Jamaican jerk cut.
Yeah, like they're in Florida and someone, I think it's Shirley MacLaine's character, goes, make sure she comes back to visit or something. And I'm like, oh, so grandma's staying in Florida and the girls are going back up north. Cut to, we're all at the Jamaican jerk place at her wedding.
Right.
And I was like, huh? What?
So they get married at the Jamaican jerk hut.
That was also confusing. The camera is like with them in the kitchen.
Here's what was...
Is he cooking? Is Simon a new chef?
Not that I wanted the... Okay, they should have not used a Jamaican jerk cut, but from the top.
You established that.
But number two, when they cut to the wedding, there's nothing distinguishable about the Jamaican jerk cut to let us know that we're there until they like sort of zoom out. Like it wasn't like if they were getting married at like the Rainforest Cafe, you would know instantly because the Rainforest Cafe is so iconic looking when you're there. Here, it just didn't. Iconic. It didn't have like that immediate catch to be like, oh, we're at the Jamaican jerk hut.
Well, you only know it because they pull up in that cab and it's the Jamaican.
Yeah.
And there's like the awning.
That's what I'm saying. It was.
But again, we cut to inside and we're in a kitchen.
It was just what I'm saying. It was a kitchen and like a backyard.
And how did we know they had a backyard? I guess
I didn't know.
They just took us there.
I didn't know.
They took us there. I bet the book really elaborates on this place for us.
It has to have more importance in the book.
Yeah, I can't fault this screenplay because it's tight. Like I find it very tight.
Yeah.
But yeah, they do. They get married in the backyard of their place, the Jamaican jerk hut that they went once.
Love the white.
I would love some jerk chicken.
I love the white couple that takes over the Jamaican jerk hut.
Oh yeah, that's
really nice.
Ugh.
This is our spot.
Yeah, it felt very much like in La La Land when he's like, I love jazz. Yeah. Like, I'm going to bring back jazz.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I don't doubt you.
Yeah.
But are you sure you're the person for this job?
It's muddy.
Because I was confused because I thought Simon was a chef there. I was like, oh, did he just take over the Jamaican jerk hut? Because he was in the kitchen.
What would have made more sense is that when they were on their date and he orders for her, and then he mentions, they talk about that one restaurant where he knows what to order on the menu, which is not the Jamaican jerk hut. It's like some other fancy restaurant. That probably should have been a better place to have their wedding reception.
Yeah. I think it was just like the symbol for he makes her more adventurous. Like she tries new restaurants with him.
Okay, got it.
And he's going to save jazz.
Okay. And Jamaican food.
And Jamaican food.
Okay, got it.
But yeah, they do the wedding, and then Cameron Diaz is like, I have a surprise for you. I know you hate surprises, but I'm going to read you a poem.
This was a really beautiful scene, and Cameron Diaz should have gotten an Oscar nomination for this.
All of them.
All of them should have.
I love Toni and Cameron in this as well. I love that they kind of share screen time. I think, like, about equal, even if Florida's more fun.
Yeah, no, it doesn't feel like top billed. It doesn't feel like one is favored in terms of timing.
Yeah, no way, and it's just really sweet. And she reads out loud really well.
She does a really good job.
And I think that was probably my third cry.
That was a real cry moment.
Yeah, she does. I carry your heart with me.
It was really beautiful. Everybody is happy, sad.
Yeah,
they get married.
Yeah. Did you clock the song for the end?
No.
So when Cameron, like, they're, like, making up at the end, and Cameron's like, we're Sonny and Cher. And Toni Collette goes, they split up. And she's like, well, they remain best of friends. And then the ending song was I Got You, Babe by Sonny and Cher, but with a Jamaican lean.
Oh, no.
Which was a real problem.
Oh, yeah. Now it's all coming back to me.
It's a real subtle, like, thing, but I was like, oh, my God.
I think I love the last shot of the movie because Toni Collette and the guy leave the wedding. And
I'm always so confused by that.
And yeah, this is very popular in movies.
Does that happen? You leave your literal wedding still in progress.
It was too early. You don't
to get in the car and go.
This happens all the time in movies, but they
love that shot.
They leave the wedding reception when the sun is still out or the sun is setting. Like it's early.
The party is just very much in full swing. Like there are still people in that backyard.
If not just getting started. So they leave and Cameron Diaz saunters back to the dance floor and just like starts dancing. And it looks it's a nice shot, but you're right. That's a common wedding like scene in a movie is the bride and groom leave mid reception.
I feel like filmmakers can't resist. They like as much as they're resisting cliche in this movie, you can't resist giving the people what they want, and it's like that drive away shot in like a cliche car with like cans at the back. Yeah. I mean, they didn't do that in this, but it's like they might as well have.
Thing. And that's how it ends, and it's like a really sweet ending, and this movie is weird because when on paper it sounds stupid. But in reality, or when it's on the screen, it works. Like the idea,
it's really, really good. It's really human.
Like the conceit that they share the same shoe size is so not the point. But it's what was advertised, and it really isn't what the movie is about.
I know. I consistently don't understand movie advertising. It's like, I guess they're trying to be like butts in seats. How do we do that?
Yeah. And like, it's almost like
it's weird.
Right. It's like on paper, this movie is a joke. It's like a reverse. It has like the reverse Lifetime pipeline. Mm-hmm. Like some movies take themselves so seriously that they become Lifetime movies. This movie sounds like it should be a Lifetime movie, but it isn't.
Yeah, it's so much just more, it's more serious. It's like better written. Yeah, it's good. It's really wild. I just feel like maybe they felt like in 2005 their hands were tied. They're like, we can't advertise this for what it is as like a drama. You know, and then like if audiences see Cameron Diaz on the cover, they are expecting a flirty fun time.
Yeah, so
and then they were like, we have to just give them
like a bait and switch.
Well, I think that's what they did. They did a bait and switch.
Yeah.
And what I'm saying is like, why can't you just advertise the movie for what it is, which is like a female like led drama with like 3 really strong actresses. Like I don't know. I'm like, because that's what would get me in the theater.
Yeah.
Like I want to see these 3 ladies like go at it, dramatically. But like advertisers were like, we have to promise them a Cameron Diaz romp.
Right. And I think that's why it's very similar to our experience with The Sweetest Thing, is that I feel like the advertising and the images kept me away from this movie for so long.
Yep. Happens all the time. The images and the title. I'm like, okay, rom-com that I don't need to see.
Right.
Just one in a million. You know, like nothing special about this.
Nothing special about it, but like this is a really good movie, and like everyone should go see it.
Yeah, it's like in a league of its own, amongst even the ones we've covered, which we always think that they're fun, and so much fun. But this one just like it's more serious.
It's more serious.
It's more serious.
Like I said at the top, real. It's Cameron Diaz's Babel. It's her top work as far as I'm concerned.
Babel. I went to the IMDb specifically hoping it at least got like a Globe nomination because I was like, this is actually I think it did
for Shirley MacLaine.
I have to see because Shirley MacLaine kills it.
She got a Golden Globe nomination.
References. I just like don't see it. I'm gonna find it. Find awards. But yeah, we hope that this prompts you to go watch this one.
Absolutely.
No. Golden Globes nominee, Best Performance by an Actress in a Supporting Role, Shirley MacLaine. Good. Fucking good.
And she was good, but I think that Cameron Diaz deserves a lot of credit for what happened in this movie.
Yeah, I feel like I'm having trouble. Like, I want to articulate this carefully because, like,
Oh.
I feel like Cameron Diaz holds her own
Oh.
against two powerhouse actresses, which we've said. Toni Collette is an actress. Shirley MacLaine is an actress. But I'm not here to discredit everything else Cameron Diaz does. It's like she does it so well.
Yeah.
So the fact that she can, like, try on her movie star, like, shoes, if you will, and then step into this and try on her actress shoes, it's like she does both.
Yeah.
She does both, and it's very
And
good.
they both fit.
They both, it's a Cinderella fit.
Okay. There we go.
So I think we did it.
We did it. We were in all the ladies' shoes, and they all fit. They're all the same size. Also, the mom had the same shoe size. We forgot to mention that.
I know. I had a real trip
was
with
at
this
the
one
end.
because I was like, I had a real trip with this one because Cameron Diaz, like, has to be like a size 11. Like, she's just like a big woman.
Oh.
She's like 6 feet. We know she's not
we
fat,
know
Steven.
we know you're bad with heights, so don't even.
Okay, well, I'm not gonna look it up because I don't even care. But Toni Collette and Cameron Diaz having the same shoe size, I wondered. I really did wonder.
Yeah. Well,
I wasn't sure.
they do. They told us that multiple times. That's what the movie is about.
Listen up, Shan.
The movie is about shoes. And why women
If
love
like-
them.
Oh my god! Also, the early 2000s, 2005, like bell-bottom jean with a stiletto and that pointy heel.
Yeah, poking out.
I don't know if you remember, but you remember.
Yeah,
right?
you. There was a funny shoe bit where Toni Collette finds out that Cameron Diaz broke her Jimmy Choos, and she shows up to the wedding, and her boyfriend is like, "No one's gonna notice. Like, what are you talking about?" And she walks
And the
in.
bride.
What happened to your heel?
Immediate. Some really great use of cutting in this movie.
That was good.
Bitch, are you dead? Cut.
Hey, are you
We
dead?
don't know. No one's gonna say anything. Cut. Bride. Oh my god, your heel.
Yeah, it was funny. There were some funny moments. There were some real funny moments.
Yeah,
Not a
this
lot.
was a great
but-
one. I enjoyed this one. I think I might watch it again. I need to see it unfold. All 2 hours of it.
I'd watch it again in a few months.
Yeah, get some distance, of course.
Yeah, I would totally revisit it again.
Yeah. Guys, don't be swayed by the branding of this one. Don't be swayed by that poster. Friends, rivals, sisters. This is a movie for all ages. Get out there and watch
Now.
it. Get out to the theater and get your butt in that seat.
Go to your local theater manager and say, "Hey,
Bring
back Inner Shoes. Do you still have that
Inner
reel?
Shoes.
I'd like to do with that movie."
Yeah, please. Please and thank you. Okay, so I feel good.
Yeah, I feel like going
did
to
it.
Florida.
I'm going to hit the road. Let's go to Epcot, baby.
Yeah,
All right. See you later,
we
Steven.
should record live from Disney World.
Yeah, guys, get us some
in the
sponsors,
parks.
please. You know that's been our dream for like over 2 years. We're like, let's go to Epcot.
Yeah.
We're like so excited about Epcot. It doesn't make any
We're
sense.
gonna record live from the France Pavilion. Watch out,
I was gonna say, is there like a Miami pavilion?
Okay.
No.
the Florida Pavilion.
The Florida Pavilion. All right. See you later, Steven.
Oh, bye.
Bye. We have to give an official goodbye on
Okay,
the pod.
let's-
It's weird if we don't.
Bye.
Bye.
Try walking in my shoes. Cut.
They're too big.
Oh. And
All right.
and bye.
And scene.